Is your car being ghetto?
Yeah.
All right.
You know.
Say hi to the TikTok.
Hey, TikTok.
We're going to the movies. And who do I go to the movies with?
No one. Just me.
Just you. How many times have we been to the movies together?
This is our second time.
Second. No, third. Because we saw Case for Christ.
Yes.
That.
Yes.
Yeah, we did. That happened. We're going to see Possum Trot. An early access screening. Should be fun. Are we ready?
Yes, we are. Go ahead. Hello.
All right. Let's talk about it. So that was The Sound of Hope, the story of Possum Trot, directed by Joshua Weigel, stars Nika King, I forget the man's name, and Elizabeth Mitchell.
Yes. I forgot the guy's name.
Yeah. All right. Demetrius Gross. I just looked it up.
Okay.
I wasn't going to feel good about myself until I got that right. His name was Demetrius Gross.
Okay.
So Nika King, Demetrius Gross, Elizabeth Mitchell.
Correct.
So this was a Christian movie distributed by Angel Studios about a town in Texas called Possum Trot, based on a true story. This took place around like 96, 97.
Yes.
And about a church called Bennett Chapel, real church, that 22 families in that church adopted 77 kids out of foster care.
Yep.
So this movie is all about bringing awareness to the foster crisis.
Yes, it is.
It was, a little over 2 hours?
2 hours and 10 minutes,
2 hours, a little over 2 hours. Okay. My issue with a lot of Angel Studios movies, and I know this one's not produced by Angel, it's not produced by Angel Studios, I don't think, but it's distributed by. But it just seems to be a common theme in that, let me know if you felt this too, where there's a point in the middle where it just drags.
Yeah, it dragged a little bit towards the middle. I would agree.
Where it almost felt like we were just filling empty space, and it just got a little long.
I would have liked the movie to maybe have not ended, but maybe sped up a little bit.
There are a couple of scenes that I felt like were too long. There's one scene where he was preaching right after they brought home the two smallest kids.
Yes.
And he was preaching and talking about, the need and whatnot. Yeah. That scene I felt like went on a little too long. So that was an issue, I think, for some scenes, but particularly in the middle, where there could have been some cuts, a little bit of editing. It just felt long.
It was.
That's my only issue. There were some acting issues, mainly when they went to the big church.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was weird.
That was a very odd scene, because until he wrote like a check or whatever, it just felt very not organic. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like, it just felt like very forced kind of like exchange, I guess. Yeah, because it was very quick.
Very quick. But other than that, those are my only real issues.
Yeah, I didn't have
with the movie.
issues.
Other than that,
it wasn't preachy.
It sounded.
No. I mean, it feels like. I mean, you're talking about a reverend.
A reverend. So yeah, Reverend and the First Lady are your main characters here.
Right, and like a church is they're constantly doing all those, but it's not preachy.
It's crazy because he gives a lot of sermons in the movie.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not preachy.
No,
it's not. It's very. You used the word organic earlier.
Yeah, it was very organic.
It just felt like. I've said this about Angel Studios movies before, where you don't have to preach a sermon to preach the gospel.
Correct.
Where you can pretty much just show the gospel between the lines, in the context. And so I like that. I like that we're continuing to see that from Angel Studios, where they're not being so preachy, where they're not just overtly like, here is the gospel. Yeah, whereas we're going to show you the gospel in these characters, in the plot, in the story. And when it's all over, you can go home and have a whole conversation about it.
Right.
So that, I will say, just comparing it to other Christian movies, because you can't help but do so, it's not preachy. The acting's better. The writing is so much better. What else? Character development.
Better than most.
Better than most.
Yeah.
Better than most.
Better than
Definitely
most.
better than
Yeah.
most.
Yeah.
This is actually, I looked it up while we were still sitting there. This is actually the director's first feature-length film that I could find.
Which is incredible because it was good.
He directed a short before. But,
great.
I mean, great direction, great cinematography.
Cinematography was gorgeous.
There was a scene in the very beginning where he's walking down the center aisle, and he's right in the middle. It was just a beautiful shot with the music in the background. This is pretty much just black church culture kind of movie. That's the center here, and so it's good to see that. You don't see that too often with Christian films where the black church is at the center. The Kendrick brothers did that with War Room.
Yes,
and then they're going to do it again.
Yeah.
With The Forge in a couple of months.
Which is wild that they're still doing that.
Yeah.
But it's a good movie. I mean, it's not, I mean, from a writing perspective, something that I understand better, it's very good. Like we said, not preachy at all. And for a movie that's talking about, like, church and reverend and all this, like, it definitely, I think the only thing, if I had a gripe at all, which I don't really, is Terry, her story beforehand. They talk about it and they kind of give you enough information about what had happened to her and all that kind of stuff, but I just feel like they could have, like,
I wish we had more context.
Yes, because I'm not getting any.
But other than that, though, she played the hell out of that part.
She did so good.
God, that little girl was good.
There was a couple times where I cried because of just her. Just her.
I mean, so it's just typical Angel Studios issues. They'll work out in the future. I'm not even worried about it.
Yeah,
I expect it, honestly. It drags a little long scenes. But other than that was solid.
It was powerful.
It's
a powerful movie. I think it's definitely worth a ticket. I think it's really good. I definitely feel like it did its job. And Angel Studios is just putting out really good content and, like, good movies. And
I hate that we use the word content.
I know. I hate the word content, too. But, like, how else do you explain it? I love that they are they're still steering away from the idea of being preachy and this, like, over, because it's definitely, like, it is a Christian movie, but it doesn't like portray itself. It just gives you real life. This is when
because I ranted to you about the Star Wars television series.
Yes, you did.
The Acolyte, where they're really talking about wanting to be inclusive and accessible, and making the movie accessible to people who are otherwise not interested. That's kind of here too, but like when we talk about Christian movies, like, who is your target audience? Are you trying to reach people who are already churched, or are you trying to reach people who need to be churched? Are you trying to reach people who don't know Jesus? Are you trying to reach people who already know Jesus? Are you trying to get a message to those people? Whatever. But I think this message really is more for the church.
Yeah,
this is a message for the church,
yes.
But at the same time, for people who are not in the church, I feel like it's very accessible.
Yeah. It's definitely a message for the church, but yes, it is not even just for the church, but for the people who not even just call themselves Christians, but just, like, people who really want what's best for other kids.
Yeah.
And the system. And this movie does give you really hard things that do happen to kids. That is true.
The other thing this movie does, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Because you know me, I think and then I say things. The other thing this movie does that a lot of Christian movies just don't do, but I'm seeing this more in different Christian movies, is it's very raw.
Yes.
It doesn't shy away from there are some horrible things that happen.
Yeah.
And it's not like you hear about them later, or we get some little sad expository story. Like, you see some awful things happen, and
you see the aftermath.
So I appreciate them not shying away from that. A lot of Christian movies, they want to preach the gospel, but they'll shy away from the trauma that sometimes leads them to the gospel.
Yes.
This doesn't do that at all.
No, this actually gives you the gospel without saying the word gospel.
Now, saying that, I wish we'd had a little more context with Terry, but I'm not even mad about that. Mad about it. We saw a little bit of the aftermath with her, so I guess it's okay. I'm not mad about it.
I'm not mad about it. I think it's great. I think it's a good story, and I think it's a